Hey, thanks so much for joining us this week. Let me tell you, this is going to be an awesome episode of InFocus Recouched.
They're all awesome, Dora. Today, we're going to revisit a couple of interviews with people who are sharing their Christian faith in some pretty unexpected and innovative ways. We could summarise it as motorcycles and mocktails.
And don't forget that eating an egg a day keeps the doctor away. Or does it? Sue Rad will give us the lowdown.
Mysterious. First up, though, we're going to see an interview Litiana Turner did a few years back with Jim Bartle. And let me tell you, Dora, if it flips, if it grinds, if it wipes out, this guy is into it. In fact, Jim Bartle has channeled his enthusiasm for extreme sports into a Christian outreach ministry. Check this out.
Hello, Litiana. How are you?
Good, thank you. Can you tell me, how did you get into extreme sports like this?
Look, I was raised out in central Queensland, and so out in the bush there wasn't a whole lot to do, so my father actually bought me a motorbike, and that's where it all began for me.
Okay. So what, you started by doing rides around the yard, or you built yourself a jump?
It started just like that. We'd just ride around the yard, and there was a common ground out there which was about 6,000 acres, so we had a lot of freedom to be able to go out and ride in the bush, and you know, that developed into going to an enduro race for the local motocross club, and we did that, and one of the guys there went and spoke to my dad and encouraged him to sort of get me into a little bit more riding, and you know, it just grew and developed from there to becoming something that my dad, I guess, really saw as a way of I guess keeping me on track, giving me something to do that wasn't necessarily getting into trouble in the streets of Longreach. It was something goal to focus on. Yeah.
So how did riding in Longreach become JC epidemic? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, that's definitely just that's a God thing, because you see, my parents were pastoring a church out in Longreach, and so I'd always been raised with this church background, this knowledge of Jesus and how Jesus was God, and for me that it just didn't seem to be able to be true. And I can remember I was 15 years old, and I was actually doing a freestyle motocross show at the Longreach Showgrounds, and I still at this time didn't know if this God was real or not real, but I remember coming around and hitting the jump, and I got this vision of one day sitting on top of this jump telling my friends about Jesus. And I know that blew me away at the time, because I thought, I don't even know if this Jesus is real, but why would I ever go and tell my friends about it? But it didn't ever really make sense until it was 2004 when I became a Christian. And all of these things started to make sense, as you know, I see the way God had impacted me and used the love that I had for this extreme sport to be able to tell other people about it. So in 2004 is when we started JC Epidemic, and we started using extreme sports like freestyle BMX and freestyle motocross to basically get the attention of young people. And once we had their attention, we were able to tell them about Jesus, and that's exactly what JC Epidemic is.
So you get groups of young people together at a convention or at a riding thing? How does that work? Can you tell me?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we do a lot of different things. A lot of them are just an outreach event that a church would like to put on. So we'll turn up at the church and we'll do some entertainment, basically just to add to their event.
So you're singing as well as riding bikes?
No, actually no, we just ride bikes. It's motorbikes, BMXs. We do have some skaters as well. In saying that, we get other entertainment to come along, like-minded Christians that perform and use that to glorify God. But no, we'll turn up at an event, and we'll either do a performance, which will get the kids to come and then give us the opportunity to be able to tell them about Jesus, so we preach a gospel message there. Or otherwise it's just adding to somebody else's event. So a church will have an outreach event, we'll be there, we'll do the entertainment, and then they'll tell the kids about Jesus. So we're very flexible there.
So can you tell me, have you had any injuries with the amount of riding that you've been doing?
Unfortunately, injury is part and parcel of being a freestyle motocross rider. Yes, I've had a few injuries. I guess one of the ones that I'm probably most grateful for is an accident that I had when I was about 22 years old, and I was racing motocross, and I had an accident there. I had a crash and I was knocked unconscious, and when I woke up from that accident I was actually in the back of an ambulance, and that was the one thing that scared me enough to go, if this Jesus that I've been told about is actually real, if there actually is a heaven and a hell, then I need to know about it, because I know that if it's real, I'm going to hell. Yeah. And so that crash there was actually what pushed me to start to seek God in a real way and actually eventually find Him.
Okay. So Jim, can you tell me, when you're talking to young people and you're sharing your story about what Jesus has done for you, when is it that you know that you've actually made a connection with Him? What happens?
Look, that's always very difficult to gauge, whether you've impacted them in an eternal sense, or whether you've just impacted them for one night. I mean, often when you will present the gospel, I mean, you know yourself, Letiana, that the gospel is an extremely powerful message, and it changes people, and there's absolutely no doubt about it. So when you present the gospel message, I have absolute faith, and I would guarantee that it will impact somebody, because I believe we're all created to want to serve and worship this creating God. That's right. So when we share this message, we can see the impact on people's faces. You know, you can see that people are broken to tears. We can see that people are joyful, and we see all sorts of emotions across the audience that watches this. But there's something that is so life-changing about it. This one night, and you can think, oh, well, it's all about the hype of tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be different. And look, for some of them it is. It's about the hype of the night, and tomorrow it's different. But then you go a few years down the track and you start hearing these stories coming back of how I got saved by hearing the gospel at a freestyle motocross event, and how this person has changed and God's transformed their life. And you see, the one thing we realise, it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with Jesus and what He did on that cross. That's right. And so therefore, we can possibly even do a bad presentation of the gospel. I don't mean doctrinally, I just mean in not doing a good job of presenting it. And people still get saved. People still make a commitment to Jesus because they hear this message that is truth, and something inside them triggers.
Your highlight, when you look back at your career, I mean, I've got a magazine here, okay, and I'm looking at some pictures here of you doing amazing things. Can you tell me about a highlight from
a writing perspective? From a writing
perspective, and I guess from a sharing Jesus perspective, because I've got young people out there who are watching this and thinking, I've seen this guy. I mean, and I want to be like him. So tell me, can you share with us a highlight? Well,
firstly, probably a highlight for the writing side of things is learning to do the backflip. That was a huge feat. It was extremely scary, and I guess you have to have a lot of faith that you're going to come out the other side okay. So that's definitely the highlight as far as writing goes. But it doesn't even compare to the highlights I've seen in presenting the gospel message. You know, in presenting the gospel message, I've seen kids' lives changed eternally, and that for me is exactly why we do it, and that's been the highlight for me. Watching a kid receive Jesus for the first time, and then a couple of years down the track, be able to see that kid is still on fire for the Lord. That outweighs everything, and that makes it worth it for me.
Wow, that is so cool. Yeah. But if I had to do one of those motorbike jumps, I would just die.
Oh, me too. But I'm really impressed by how those guys put their faith into action. And when I say action, I mean action. I mean, it's very awesome.
It is. We'll take a break now, but we'll be back in just a sec with more InFocus Recouched.
We live our lives running around, rarely stopping to ask ourselves where we're going and what our final destination is. In the end, our lives become little more than routine. Step beyond and discover a path that offers comfort, love and hope. Visit hopeoffer.com/step beyond or call 1300 300 389 for your free copy today.
We're going to start with some soybeans. Use some chickpeas, an onion, you have a teaspoon of salt, slice some tomatoes, slice some cucumber, some red onion just to give it a bit of freshness. So just make little falafels like this. They just smell amazing. Let's make our tahini dressing. Let's get in some tomatoes, cucumbers, some falafels. Drizzle some of this lovely dressing. All you need to do is roll it up and you've got a delicious lunch for your family.
Hi, welcome back. Hey, Dora, how do you like your eggs?
Fried with the yolk runny.
Ooh, that sounds good. For me, though, I think it'd have to be soft-boiled eggs, you know, smooshed onto hot toast, maybe a bit of tomato and avocado too, fresh herbs, just a pinch of salt.
Wow, that sounds a bit gourmet.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what Sue Rad has to say about eggs.
A typical breakfast that people might be served up.
It's a true English breakfast, I guess.
But not necessarily the best thing for your heart.
But eggs are good for you, aren't they?
Eggs do have good nutritional properties. They're high in protein, they contain vitamins, minerals, and even some phytonutrients. And of course, the reason why many people have been avoiding eggs for many years is because of the concern that they may raise your blood cholesterol.
Right, exactly. That's why people sometimes just eat the whites of eggs and all this kind of stuff. Right.
But the more recent research actually shows that saturated fat and trans fat more strongly raises your blood cholesterol than does dietary cholesterol.
So that's great news, so we can eat eggs again.
You would think you could eat eggs every day, but there are other things to consider as well, and I think this is really, really important. Dietary cholesterol can do other insult in the body, such as help promote oxidation, inflammation, and lay down plaque in your blood vessels, which is a huge risk factor for heart disease.
But this campaign I've seen with like you can eat an egg a day or something like this.
That's right. But the research actually shows that even if you eat such low levels as 1 egg a day, it doubles your risk of type 2 diabetes.
Whoa!
If you already have
1 egg a day.
That's right. If you already have diabetes and you eat at least 1 egg a day, you significantly raise your risk of having a heart attack and stroke. So if you've got those risk factors, you're already upping your risk.
I think probably most of us now living on a Western diet sort of have those factors, don't we?
Well, that's right. But actually what's even more concerning, James, is a more recent study from Canada that looked at the amount of plaque in people's arteries. So you know about plaque on teeth, but there's also plaque that's laid down inside your blood vessels.
And that's what sort of gets restrictive and causes heart attacks and so forth.
That's right. And so what they showed is that people eating a lot of eggs, say 5 eggs a week or more over a 40-year period, had large amounts of plaque in their arteries. In fact, 2/3 of the amount, as did people who smoked a pack of cigarettes over 40 years. So 2/3 of the amount of plaque as was seen in people who were smokers.
So cigarettes are much worse, substantially
significantly worse.
But this is quite seriously problematic.
Well, that's what it's looking like. So it's not just all about fasting cholesterol level. Your fasting cholesterol might be fine, and eating an egg a day might not raise that, but dietary cholesterol may still be adding some sort of insult elsewhere in the body, and we're concerned at the moment about the amount of plaque. So eggs are not necessarily something for everyone. If you're really, really healthy, you might get away with 1 a day, but if you've got risk factors, if you want to prevent diabetes, you might be better off reducing the amount and looking for other alternatives.
Okay, so let's talk about alternatives.
Right.
So what have we got here?
Well, eggs serve lots of purposes in cooking and baking, binding, raising, but there are lots of things you can use instead. So, for example, you could use pureed dried fruit, apples, prunes, all of those kind of things. Add the stickiness. You could add oats. A lot of people use rolled oats to help make loaves and things because they've got that gelling, sticking property, as do linseeds. Psyllium's another ingredient you can use. So it really depends what function you're after. There are substitutes that you could use that are plant-based, that don't cause harm, but that actually might do you some good.
Now, I've been waiting for this. You brought me a big plate of scrambled eggs, and you're telling me I shouldn't eat it.
It looks like it. This is actually a recipe from my breakfast book, The Breakfast Book, where we have lots of ideas for using whole foods to make you feel better in the long term. But this is actually not made with eggs, James. This is made with silken tofu.
Okay, can you give me a taste?
You ever tried that? And
you keep talking, I'll start eating.
Right, well, it's got the texture of scrambled eggs, soft and tender.
That's not bad at all.
And you can make it look a bit like egg by using a little bit of turmeric, which also has strong anti-inflammatory properties. And you can add anything else you'd add to eggs, whether it's spinach or onions or tomatoes.
Or in my case, chili sauce.
Heart's delight, chili sauce. So there are lots and lots of alternatives, not just in cooking and baking, but even to make scrambled eggs.
That's delicious. Where can we get the recipe for this and other ideas?
On our website, surad.com, there are lots of free recipes, but that particular recipe comes from the breakfast book.
Okay, great. Well, we have the details up there. Thank you so much, Sue. Stay with us. We'll be right back after I finish eating these eggs. Oh, tofu.
That's right.
Oh, yum. Have you tried that tofu scrambled egg? I'm not vegan, but it is so good.
Yeah, I have actually, and I agree. You know, I wasn't expecting it to be any good. I mean, tofu, you know, but it's fantastic. It really is.
Yeah, of course. We wouldn't promote dud recipes, would we? We'll take a short break now. Back in a sec.
Father, I can't connect the dots through the little that I understand. What words can I say to reach you? How can I know that you are there, listening, hearing, caring? My words are broken, weak, and powerless. But I know your power is limitless. What can I say?
Signs of the Times, a Christian view of the world. And this month in Signs, 50 years after John Lennon's infamous quote, "Is Christianity waning?" Imagine a world where we don't waste time eating food. The real story behind the legend of St. Patrick, the portent of the 4 blood moons of recent years. All in this month's Signs of the Times. Subscribe to Signs today and change your life.
Onions add great sweetness and flavour and a good base to any curry. Going to add some ginger, some garlic. Look at that, nice and chunky. So we've got our spices, gives it kind of a Sri Lankan feel. Add some tomatoes, tomato paste, some honey. Roasted vegetables in these kind of dishes are always great. But we add some creaminess to it. And that dish is now finished, ready to hit the table. I'd recommend you to give it a try, and it's so, so easy.
Planning your future can be a daunting task. What you want to do, who you want to be, and the road ahead can often be unpredictable. No one really knows what the future holds. Avondale. It's education designed for life.
Hi, welcome back to InFocus Recouched. Now, as we all know, Dora, the drug that causes the most damage around the world, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere, would have to be...
alcohol, no question.
Yeah, well, that's right. And so traditionally, you know, a number of Christian groups have pushed a pretty strong message of total abstinence, you know, demon drink, you know, and all that sort of thing. But Sandy Schofield is worried that that can come across quite negative and maybe a bit judgmental. So she's come up with a business idea that's quite innovative.
Yeah, it's really great. Check it out.
How are you, Sandy?
Good, thank you, Kent. Yeah, really good.
I guess the short answer is that these are all alcohol-free.
Absolutely. The highest level of alcohol would be 0.5%, 0.5%.
Oh, well, that's still alcohol, isn't it?
Yeah, but our orange juice has alcohol in it. And
really?
I've put 5% as part of the process that it goes through. Fermentation still happens.
Wow.
And also some fizzy drinks, soft drinks, have alcohol in it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you're not a drinker yourself?
No.
And in fact, you sort of gave me an indication that there has been issues with alcoholism in your family.
Yes, it's been a generational curse in my family for at least the last 4 generations.
Wow.
My cousin was over the limit with alcohol, and he crashed his car into a lamppost, and he burnt to death in his car.
Oh dear.
And my grandmother, my mother fortunately recovered, aunties and uncles.
Wow, so this really is a real issue in your family.
It's been a real issue, not with the current generation, but it has been in the past.
So why would you then get into, I guess, you know, alcohol substitutes? Doesn't that sort of feel a bit uncomfortable for you? Wouldn't you rather just stay away from anything that resembles alcohol as much as you can?
I understand that question, and it would have been, but I went through a process before we actually got it off the ground of where my prejudice to alcohol was actually torn down.
Or people who drink alcohol more particularly,
Absolutely.
I guess.
People that drink alcohol, the fear went. The fear of alcohol disappeared, and it took a fair while for that to happen, but it did. And now when I do a demonstration, and I'm talking to people who drink alcohol, it's just not an issue. I'm just there to offer them an alternative if they need it.
And is that your motivation, to provide an alternative?
It is. It's to people who are teetotalers and drinkers. It's that, hey, you don't need to drink and drive. There is an alternative. Pregnant women who are breastfeeding, people with diabetes, there's an alternative. And also to teetotalers, we do have a range of drinks for them to enjoy too.
Yeah.
And I actually find this really exciting because we have a variety. God created fruits, He created grapes, He created wheat, all of it for us to enjoy in so many ways. Yeah.
Wow, well, let's get cracking and check some. You mentioned bright colours, and I've been eyeing this off.
Yes.
This is a daiquiri.
Yes, a cocktail.
What exactly is a daiquiri? Can you explain that to me? It says it's sin and alcohol-free there.
But I understand it's a Spanish cocktail that they have in Spain. And that seems to be everybody's favourite, the daiquiri.
Right, so you can drink it just like this, just straight, or you're supposed to mix it with something?
Have it with ice. And we mix it in with the Ronson or Wisson, which is alcohol-free whiskey.
Wow.
It's amazing what's out there.
I've heard of de-alcoholised wine and beer. Can I have a taste?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's try it, because this, it says on the label here, is the best non-alcoholic drink in the world. Now, if it's whiskey, I suppose I shouldn't have too much. I can have as much as I like, can't I?
You should have it on the rocks.
Oh, I should have it on the rocks. Should have had. Wow. That really smells quite sort of medicinal, you know. It's actually sweeter than I thought it would be.
Okay. That's because the alcohol has been removed. It was 2 years in development. It's how long it took for them to create this whiskey, this Wisson. And a gentleman came up to our store yesterday at our community festival, and he drinks spirits. And he really liked it. He really enjoyed it. It was very interesting to hear.
And do you find that's the case generally, that people who are, serious drinkers will actually appreciate these drinks, or are they a bit sort of a bit dismissive, lolly water sort of thing?
They can be, because drinkers are also prejudiced to alcohol-free drinks. I have found since the beginning of the year the culture here in Australia has changed. It has turned the corner, and people, drinkers in particular, are more open now to alcohol-free drinks. In fact, they're very excited about them.
Well, and I noticed looking around at these brands, Sandy, that a lot of them, I mean, this is from Spain, this is from Spain, there are some German beers, I know, non-alcoholic beers. A lot of them seem to be from Europe.
Yes.
What's going on in Europe that that's not happening here?
In Europe, like in Germany, they have to, by law, the breweries have to produce alcohol-free beer.
Really?
And throughout Europe, you can get alcohol-free beer from the tap at the pubs and the bars.
No way.
Even in Ireland. We have lager, wheat beer, and also gluten-free, alcohol-free beer that's totally alcohol-free, the amber green. And we have champagne from the Napa Valley. But in Europe, they are way ahead of us. We're about 20 years behind Europe and the Mediterranean as far as alcohol-free drinks go.
Can I try? Is it actually green, this amber green?
No.
It's just called amber green.
It's just called amber green.
All right, can I try this one?
Yes, you can.
Let's crack this open. I do have a bottle opener here that I'm not extremely expert with because I'm not a drinker. Let's try this. Oh, thanks.
You're going to drink out of the bottle?
Oh, I suppose I could, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Well, that is quite strong. That is like Yeah, real beer.
That's a light beer, though.
That's a light one, okay.
It's a light one. It's too light for, I'd say, beer drinkers. But they have really nailed it with the beer. It tastes exactly like normal beer.
Wow.
Like we've got Klaus Hauer, Beck's Beer, Udinger, so that when you go to a party, just say you were a beer drinker and you went to a party, you can take an alcohol-free beer and be part of the group, and nobody would know that you weren't drinking alcohol beer. So you're part of the group, but you retain your judgment and you can go home driving.
So you've just started this company this year, Alco Free. Is it a going concern financially? Are you able to make a living out of this yet, or is it still working up to that?
It's in the early stages. Like we had to develop the website, which we started a year ago, exactly a year ago.
Address right there on your screen, yeah.
Yes. And so you can buy online, and business analysts say it's actually very good.
Is this just a business for you, or do you see this as a ministry in some ways too?
Oh, it's a ministry. It's in fact, that's the heart of it. I've got to say our motives have changed. It was a business, and now the motive is love.
What made that change?
We watched a DVD of a preacher, and he talked about everything we do in life, the motivation must be love.
Yeah.
And we watched this series over a weekend, and on the Sunday night after watching the last DVD, we just got on our knees and we said to God, God, we confess that our motives were selfish. It was to provide a good super for us, our dream property, and now that has changed to love. And also it is now we want to use our company to bless poor people, to advance the kingdom of God, and also to bless people in general.
That's your aim, to be in a sort of the generous business people sort
we want
of
to be the stimulus.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time,
That's
Sandy.
okay.
I really appreciate it. And here's to a headache-free weekend.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
She was really fun to have in the studio, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. But I tell you what, Dora, I just wanted to open every single one of those bottles and sample everything.
Yeah.
It was just so fascinating.
I know. Who knew that there was so many non-alcoholic varieties out there?
Great stuff. Hey, it looks like we're out of time for this week.
Time flies when you're having fun. But don't forget, stay in touch via our social media or visit our website.
We'll see you next time on InFocus Recouched. God bless.